Have you ever been scrolling through your favorite social media app when you stumble across someone younger, more talented, more beautiful, and more successful than you? And they seem to embody everything that you've been desperately trying to achieve for God knows how many years, and you scroll through every one of their beautiful photos or videos or songs or artwork, silently comparing all of their wins to every one of the mundane mistakes you've probably made 7 years ago and that no one else remembers. And then you think to yourself, enough time scrolling through hell, it's time to work on the thing I've been meaning to do. And then you sit down and work on the thing, but the thing is meaningless and you're gonna die one day. Maybe not today, but maybe today. And what is even the point of trying when the inevitable heat death of the universe looms on the horizon? Whew! Hello, my sweet chicken dumplings. It me, Allie. I just wanted to make a nice painting tutorial today, but the feelings demanded a sacrifice, and also I realized a fair amount of you are also going through the shit TM right now. So today I'm going to be working on a piece from my sketchbook, and I'm going to continue procrastinating on all of the paintings that I haven't finished because I have temporarily lost the motivation to paint because I don't have any faith in my ability to create good art despite evidence to the contrary. I think it's so important to create a world where we can openly talk about things like depression, mental health, and existentialism. But if this is content that makes you feel uneasy right now, please put your attention elsewhere. Take care of yourself first and foremost. I think next week we're actually going to have a nice calming painting tutorial, so I will see you then. For everyone else, please remember, don't just listen to some asshat on the internet with a paintbrush. Connect with the people that you love if you're struggling, talk to your therapist, and verify the things that you see online. Okay, let's do it! So actually, I've just come to terms with the fact that for the last 5 years or so, I've been hit with a really solid depression every summer. And I've been in denial about it for a long time. I always gaslight myself because sometimes that's just what you grow up with, and you get used to it. Oh, it's not that bad, you're just being dramatic, you're not actually depressed, you're just sad about X, Y, or Z, you'll get over it in a week. I'm not the only person who gets seasonal affective disorder in the warmer months, or so I have found. So if you also experience this and you want to share, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. It's something that I've really just started learning about. I was in denial about it for so long. I was raised in a household that viewed any sort of neurodivergence or even just appropriate reactions of sadness or anger as an outright attack against the family, and it was very punishable. So I got really good at masking it, which became really detrimental to my well-being over time. To this day, I'm still always waiting for my favorite people to turn on me and accuse me of faking my sadness or causing problems on purpose or being emotionally difficult, even though I have an amazing partner and really incredible friends who are insanely supportive of me and are very open to talking about these things. I'm generally a really high energy, really self-motivated person, so it always weirds me out when every summer this happens. I feel sluggish and tired. The days start to blend together. I feel like I'm operating on autopilot, and sometimes I just cry uncontrollably. I feel like the things I manage to do don't matter anyway, so what's even the point of trying? My fear of failure is kind of the only thing that keeps me moving forward when I get like this, and it leaves me feeling like I'm wading through a deep fog with only a vague notion of which direction I'm supposed to go in. So on top of all of this, Mercury has been in retrograde, and we just got out of it, but like everything in our house broke all at once, and my dog likes everyone else more than he likes me, so I'm just a mess right now. Thank you. But I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's plenty of you out there who are also going through something similar, regardless of if it's the summer right now for you or not. A few years ago, I got really sick of feeling this way, and I started addressing the underlying causes of the depression, unpacking the trauma, working on my self-esteem, my inner dialogue. I've talked about this a little bit before. And just learning how to better moderate my workload and how I recognize and communicate my frustrations before they overwhelm me. It's helped a lot, but there are still times when I feel like I am not enough as a person and never will be, and no amount of therapy and self-help can get rid of the bad feels. However, I also know that this is very likely to pass, so I kind of just bunker down with my effective coping skills and weather out the storm. And I'm going through some of that right now. So let's keep talking about that. So last year, the panini hit, and the world got turned on its head. And now people want to go back to normal life like it never happened and didn't cause severe and lasting effects on the entire world and all of its inhabitants. My friend sent me a TikTok the other night summarizing what I've been trying to put into words. And to paraphrase, humans are excellent at adapting to traumatic environments. We want to live. Sometimes you don't unpack the trauma until months or years later. That's happening right now with a lot of us. After having adapted to life in quarantine and now being told to just go and live fruitfully, but not being advised as to how, everything's changed, and it's left me, and I'm sure many of you, with a feeling of dysphoria. So summer sad plus panini equals, you guessed it, the existential dread has set in. It is here. It is here. It's knocking at the door. We don't want it to come in, but it's already in the kitchen, and it's eating all of our snacks. My depression is high functioning, which is kind of why I didn't realize what it was for such a long time, because I don't lay in my bed for hours or days on end. I do get up and do the things that I'm supposed to do to survive, and I feel absolutely awful while I'm doing it all, but I just thought I was being dramatic for so long that I got used to functioning that way. I react to existential crises by doubling down on my goals, which works for about 2 weeks until I'm exhausted and feeling burnt out. And then it just all spirals from there. We are constantly exposed to the ideas of hustle culture. I can reach my goals if I just buckle down for the next 2 years and work really hard and stay focused and just ignore that silly depression. Ha ha ha! I don't know who came up with the idea that if we all just work really, really hard until our bodies give out, that we'll be rewarded with the bare minimum from the government that only cares about rich people. We should find that guy and eat him. When I get this way, I like to fall into my comfort media, which is almost always horror-based. I heard that kids raised in a controlling or abusive environment become so accustomed to feeling uncomfortable that they seek out the feeling of discomfort because it's what they're used to. And I absolutely fall into this category. When I was really young, I guess not super young, when I was about 14, maybe 13 or so, the world was going through like that zombie renaissance when everyone was super obsessed with zombies. At first it was just zombie horror movies, and then it was the zombie satire movies, and it just like snowballed from there, and the world was really obsessed with zombies for a long time. So I was about 13 at the time, and I was truly terrified of the idea of the living dead coming back to get me, and I would have these horrifying nightmares all the time of zombies coming to get me, and you can't run fast enough, and you can't fight them off even though you've been doing martial arts for your whole life. You got a whole slew of swords in your room. You just can't. And that really did me in for a while until I kind of learned how to fight back in the dreams and take control of that on a subconscious level. So during this time when I did not want to feel the fear of zombies, I would force myself to watch scary movies that terrified me or listen to true crime stories that left me sleepless for days because I thought it was good for me somehow. I thought it was going to like make me stronger and toughen me up. And for a while it kind of worked, and I just fell into the horror genre hole and consumed so much of it that I became kind of desensitized in a way. So I went a little too far, and I became so desensitized to horror and gore in particular that I forced myself to step away from it for a bit because I was way too comfortable with it and it was kind of freaking me out. And now I tend to gravitate more towards haunted or creepy vibes instead of just straight up blood and guts murder. So like, that's my comfort zone now. So I'm on my second back-to-back playthrough of Alice Madness Returns, and I don't care if you think that the dark and twisted Alice in Wonderland thing is overdone and corny. I will die with this game in my hands. I love it. I also really love binge reading my Junji Ito collection when I get a little existential dread in my system, even though it gives me nightmares, even though I've read through it like 10 times at this point. He's just too good. He never fails to horrify me. Thank you, Junji Ito. So, I feel like I'm rambling a lot. I'm going through life. Summer hits. The depression hits. The existential dread hits. All of the goals and motivation that I had through winter kind of slow to a halt. and I feel like I'm walking through mud. I'm still moving towards the goal, but boy, the mud is thick with 2 Qs. So after unpacking the idea of hustle culture and the fact that the world wants you to exist to work, which is funny because I feel like the pandemic really put a light on that concept for a lot of people. We're seeing a lot of videos about, I don't have a dream job, I don't dream of labor, and I think that's so astounding and beautiful. That's something that needs to be explored more. It just absolutely floors me that some people, Jeff Bezos, are just sitting on piles and piles of money. If I had that money, you better believe that kids would not be going hungry in this country. I just can't. I can't imagine having the option to be Batman and choosing to be a villain instead. So we have people like that in the world, hoarding all of the wealth, and the rest of us are encouraged to just work really, really hard. Just work really, really hard. You'll get there someday, maybe. But like, if you don't get there, it's not because of any sort of systematic oppression. It's you just didn't work hard enough, baby. 3 jobs, you call that a hustle? That wasn't enough. So it's ridiculous. We live in this insane world. And my favorite theory is that we're just in a big computer program. One of my favorite YouTube philosophers is Bobo Matjila, and I'll put her link down below. But boy, if you want to get into existentialism, she is a lot more intelligent and much more well-spoken than I am. She is the one to go to if you really want to get deep in your feels. But be careful, my friends, be careful. I went off again. Summer, depression, hustle culture mentality pops up, but that leads to burnout. Now I'm burnt out, so here we are at procrastination. The natural result after hustle culture burnout is procrastination, right? I mean, I guess it paid off because I'm making a video about it, and to be honest, I'm having a pretty good time with it. I've got a stack of unfinished paintings. I've kind of been flaunting it on my Instagram stories like, hey guys, you remember all of these paintings from 2 months ago? Still haven't finished them. Hope you're not waiting for that. But I think it's really relatable to just be a human creating things and not a machine that's popping out painting after painting because you're working on autopilot and you're on a schedule all the time. So I think we should really normalize starting something, being really into it. It's turning out fine, but you just don't care anymore. That's okay. On to the next project. I've gotten a lot better at accepting that, whereas before I would really lay into myself if I couldn't finish something that I had been working on. I definitely used to be someone who, out of anger, would destroy their artwork if it wasn't turning out the way I wanted to, or if I had been waiting too long, or if I was really frustrated with a piece, but instead of allowing it to breathe, I would force myself to try and finish it. It just didn't come out right. So allowing myself to take a step back from that has been really nice. But the feelings of regret, the feelings of shame at choosing to not do something you feel you should be doing is a lot to grapple with, and I feel like we don't talk about that enough, the idea of shame. But we're all just people, and really at the end of the day, does anything even matter? So I guess it's okay for you to take a break anytime you need a break. After the depression, the panic hustle, the fear and procrastination, imposter syndrome. Well, if I was really an artist, I would just want to make art all the time. Every waking moment, I would be making art, and I would never abandon a piece because, of course, I've got a really solid vision for it if I was a real artist. But I don't think that's a realistic standard for anyone to uphold. Even the people who live to make art and neglect everything else in their life, everyone needs a break sometimes. So this piece I'm working on right now, I finished it up earlier this week and I posted on Instagram and posted on TikTok. I was so excited to work with Oil Pastels again, and once the piece was finished, I had about 10 minutes of joy and accomplishment regarding it, and then for whatever reason, I decided that it was awful and I hated it. I was so discouraged by my art that I actually cried twice on this day making this piece. I cried twice, and it was like a good, solid, ugly cry, 10 minutes each at least. I thought it was mediocre, it was immature, even though I enjoyed making it, I couldn't get over the feeling that it just wasn't good enough. And why bother posting it? It wasn't my best work. Turns out a lot of people liked and connected with this piece. A friend even commented that they felt relieved to see that other artists experienced the same anxiety regarding their creations. I don't think imposter syndrome is anything new to most of us. I certainly feel like I've tricked thousands of people into liking my art and thinking that it has any sort of value, and that one day they'll all realize they've been had and the witch hunt will be on. But if I really believe this, then why do I keep making art and posting it on the internet? I have a theory. I heard that when you're cooking, the experience of working with the food and smelling it and sampling little bites of it here and there as you're cooking dampens the satiety of the actual meal when you sit down to have it, because your senses have already been exposed to it. You know what it is, so it's not as exciting. But when you call the rest of the gang in to help themselves, everyone is so excited for the meal. It's new to them, it's exciting, and it's wonderful, and it's delicious, and they've been off in some other room of the house, or they've just walked through the door, and they're hit with a wave of all the delicious things you've been cooking. Can you tell I do all the cooking in our house? Art is the same way. I think you know all the ingredients that are going into making something, and so you become familiar and desensitized to the different elements of your artwork. So by the time the piece is finished, all the magic and potential is not gone, but your brain just lets it go on to the next new exciting thing. So you devalue your own work just by pure exposure to it. But that's not the reality of the value of the piece. That's just your perception of it, which is wrong. You're wrong. Your art is good. Be nice to yourself. I don't know. I think comparison truly is the thief of joy. And I think oftentimes when we get stuck hating on our own artwork, it's really because we've got other artists in mind that we're subconsciously or consciously comparing ourselves to. And I think we've all got these amazing, popular, successful, professional artists that we look up to for inspiration. And it can be easy to get lost in it all. It's super important to just take a break from social media every once in a while. And that's coming from someone who has their phone glued to their hip all the time. So yeah, all the feelings, all the negative feelings about art, about life. What is the point? Sometimes I find myself wondering, what is the point? And I consider myself a very positively nihilistic person, meaning I tend to circle my negative thoughts back around to, well, if nothing matters and nothing has meaning, why worry about it? Just have fun. Do what you want. You know, don't hurt other people, but do the things that make you happy. If life has no meaning, then why not enjoy the ride? And that usually pulls me out of the funk a little bit. I also was deep in conversation with my roommate and my partner last night, and my roomie said, you know, there are just some things that you can't control. It's okay to just focus on the things that you can do for yourself for a little while. And that was nice to hear. And my partner said, space is really big. And it is really big. We are the tiniest speck of dirt on a planet with millions and billions of creatures on it. We haven't even discovered all the insects on this planet. Somehow we think that a single late bill is gonna do us in. None of it matters. So you gotta have a good time while you can. You gotta do the things that you love, and you gotta not be so hard on yourself, because really when it comes down to it, are you that bad of a person? No. Do you deserve to give yourself a hard time because you're a little bit sad in the summer and you need to take a break? No. So I think the trade-off of all of this is that we're all really fucking funny now because we deal with our collective trauma through humor, right? It's not just me. It's got to be you guys, too. I know it's true. I know you guys are funny. I see you in my DMs. All right, do you want to hear something good? I'm so sorry. I don't know what's up with this video. This is so rambly. I feel like everything's disjointed. But there you go. Have some nice stream of consciousness panic. But do you want to hear something good? My favorite thing that I've learned in the past few months is about how caterpillars become butterflies. I've been thinking about butterflies a lot. I don't know. I've always thought that when a caterpillar is in its chrysalis and it's becoming a butterfly, it just kind of hibernates and grows its wings through stored energy and then pops out of the cocoon and it's good to go and it flies away and everyone goes, oh my God, butterfly. No. what actually happens is the caterpillar literally dissolves and digests itself from the inside out. It dissolves its body down to the cellular level and then uses the DNA to rebuild its new body from those cells using its old dissolved gooey body as fuel. Isn't that the most insane thing you've ever heard? And boy, is there absolutely nothing wrong with being a cute little caterpillar, but if one day you find that you have turned into a metaphorically seemingly useless pile of goo on the floor, you now have the potential to rebuild, even if it's slow, painful, and looks kind of squishy. The potential is there. If you've made it this far, I hope you know that you're not alone. Even if you feel like you are, even if you are also going through the dread, you are beautiful beyond what society values. And existing is enough. Just existing is enough. You deserve to love yourself. You deserve to eat good food, to express your whole range of emotions, and it's okay to feel insecure, hurt, and broken. We can be broken together. I love you guys. Drink water. Take your meds. Pet a cat. Kiss a bird, gently eat a potato, touch the grass, have a good cry, turn into a pile of goo, and I'll see you next time. Bye! We got the existential dread. I don't know what rhymes with dread, but I like to sing some songs, yeah, when I'm home alone, and my friends can't judge me. They're still gonna judge me.